Kalen Dorsey stood in the corner of the holding bay, arms crossed, back stiff, and jaw tight. His eyes flicked from one glowing monitor to the next. None of them made sense. Colors shifted in ways they shouldn't, diagrams pulsed and rotated with no clear meaning, and the alien script might as well have been spilled spaghetti. He wasn't sure how long he'd been here, but it had to be more than a day. The lights never changed. The air had a sterile hum to it, and the temperature never dipped or rose. At his feet, Daisy sat with her tongue lolling and tail thumping against the smooth floor. She was a golden retriever, 7 years old, and too friendly for her own good. Her fur was matted in places from the crash, and she had a small gash near her ear, but otherwise, she seemed untouched by the chaos that had landed them here. Kalen wasn't so lucky. His right shoulder ached where the harness had dug into him during the impact, and his ribs felt bruised, maybe cracked. But he was alive, and so was Daisy. That counted for something. A door hissed open across the room, and 3 aliens stepped inside. All of them were tall, their skin a pale bluish gray, eyes large and dark, and limbs slightly too long. Their movements were deliberate, fluid but not graceful. The tallest one, who wore a sash with a cluster of blinking lights, pointed at Daisy with a long digit. "It is not restrained," the alien said. Its voice filtered through the translator device mounted on the wall. "Her name is Daisy," Kalen said, "and she's not dangerous. That is unverified." The alien stepped closer, crouching awkwardly to examine the dog. Daisy stood up and wagged her tail, sniffing at the alien's hand. The alien froze. "It is initiating olfactory contact." "Yeah, she does that. She's checking you out. It's normal." The other 2 aliens stepped forward, scanning Daisy with handheld devices that emitted soft warbles. One of them looked at the readout and tilted its head. Minimal predatory markers. No venom, no clause of significance, no advanced dentition for dismemberment. "She's a pet," Kalen said. "Not a weapon. Not a threat. She likes belly rubs and peanut butter." The lead alien turned toward him. "You kept this organism in close proximity aboard your vessel." "She was in a crash harness next to me, yeah." "For what purpose?" "Companionship. Support. She's my dog." The alien paused as if trying to process that. Then it turned to the others. "Begin behavioral assessment. Isolate the subject from the human." "What?" Kalen stepped forward, but 2 mechanical arms dropped from the ceiling and extended between him and Daisy. Daisy whined, ears folding back. She looked up at Kalen, unsure. "No, wait, she'll be scared. You don't separate her from me like that." "Procedures are required," the alien said. "This organism must undergo evaluation to determine its role and function." Kalen clenched his fists. "Just don't hurt her. Please." "Pain is not intended," the alien said, and Daisy was gently guided into a transparent chamber off to the side. The door sealed behind her, and a soft hum filled the air. Kalen watched as the aliens circled the chamber, their devices dancing with lights. Daisy sat inside, confused but calm. One of them dropped a small metallic orb in front of her. It rolled slightly, then began to emit a faint whirring. Daisy sniffed it, potted it, then licked it. The orb stopped moving. "Response to unknown technology is non-aggressive," one of the aliens noted. "She's a golden retriever," Kalen said. "She's not built for aggression." "You domesticated a carnivorous mammal for emotional bonding?" "Yeah. Humans have done it for thousands of years." The lead alien leaned closer to the glass. Daisy rolled onto her back and wagged her tail. "It is displaying submission and trust." "Fascinating." Hours passed. Kalen wasn't allowed to leave the room, but they gave him water and something resembling food. Daisy was put through more tests: tactile response, stimulus avoidance, scent recognition. At one point, they released a small synthetic creature into the chamber that emitted high-pitched squeals. Daisy sniffed it, looked confused, then laid down next to it. "No predatory engagement," an alien said quietly. Kalen sat on the floor, his back against the wall. "I told you. She's gentle." The lead alien walked over, holding a tablet. This species matches no known galactic fauna. It is genetically optimized for docility yet retains full canine musculature and sensory capacity. We bred them that way, Kalen said, over generations. For companionship. You modified predators for affection. It wasn't easy, but yeah. The alien paused. Why? Because we needed them, and they needed us. Later, as Kalen was allowed to rest in a small cell, two aliens watched the footage of Daisy playing with the softball they had provided. One of them turned to the other. It does not hunt. It does not guard territory. It seeks contact and comfort. Perhaps it is defective. Or perhaps this is the intended function. The human-claimed emotional symbiosis. That is not a common strategy in interspecies dynamics. It is not common, the lead alien agreed. But it is effective. The following day, Kalen was escorted to a new room cleaner, brighter, with a soft surface underfoot. Daisy was already there, tail wagging wildly as she spotted him. He dropped to his knees with a wince and hugged her tightly. "What now?" he asked, looking at the lead alien, who stood nearby with a data pad. "We will continue observation. You and the organism will remain together. We wish to document the interaction directly. So long as you don't put her in another glass box." That was deemed counterproductive. Over the next week, Kalen and Daisy were placed in a simulation chamber mimicking different environments: Arctic, desert, forest, urban. The aliens observed how Daisy responded to stress, injury simulations, hunger cues. In every scenario, Daisy stayed close to Kalen. When the terrain shifted or the lighting dimmed, she pressed into his side. When unfamiliar noises played, she barked once, then looked to him. "You see," Kalen said during one of the sessions. "She trusts me, and I trust her." The lead alien watched silently, then turned to the others. "This organism is not a tool. It is not hardware. It is bonded. Is that dangerous?" "Not in the way we expected." Then came the test that changed everything. Without warning, the simulation chamber mimicked a structural collapse. Panels fell. The floor tilted. Kalen was thrown hard against a wall, his shoulder slamming into a sharp edge. Pain shot through his side and he crumpled. Daisy barked frantically. She ran to him, nosing his face, pawing at his chest. Kalen groaned. "My shoulder, damn it." The aliens hesitated behind the glass. One of them reached for the override. "No," the lead alien said. "Observe." Daisy whined and nudged under his arm, bracing herself. Kalen used her support to shift upright, teeth gritted. "You're okay, girl." "I'm okay. Just need a second." She stayed perfectly still, letting him lean into her. "She's helping him," one of the aliens whispered. The lead alien stared silently. Then he turned off the simulation. Medical drones entered moments later. Kalen was taken to the infirmary, where scans revealed a dislocated shoulder and 2 cracked ribs. He was in pain, but nothing life-threatening. The aliens treated him with surprising care, using a gel-like substance to reduce swelling and a cast-like wrap to stabilize the ribs. Daisy was allowed to stay by his bed. As he lay there, breathing shallow but steady, the lead alien approached. "We did not anticipate such behavior. From her or from me? From either. Your bond is anomalous." "Welcome to humanity," Kalen muttered. "We're full of surprises." The alien tilted its head. "We thought your species would weaponize every creature it touched. Instead, you bred a predator into a friend." Kalen looked at Daisy, who had curled up beside him, head resting on his leg. "She's not a weapon. She's family." The alien infirmary was far quieter than any human hospital Kalen had ever been in. No beeping monitors, no shuffling nurses, not even the soft murmur of distant conversation. The walls pulsed faintly with a bioluminescent glow that shifted from green to amber every few minutes, and the air smelled like wet stone and citrus. His ribs protested with every breath, and his shoulder, though stabilized by a cold, semi-liquid material, throbbed in rhythm with his pulse. Daisy lay curled beside his cot, her head just under his good hand. Every so often her ears perked at a distant noise or subtle vibration, but she never moved far. 3 aliens entered without warning. The doors didn't open so much as melt aside and reform behind them. The tallest of the trio had a cluster of faintly glowing nodes arranged like a collar around its neck. It stopped 2 paces from the bed and tilted its head slightly. "You haven't consumed the nutritional compound provided." "I ate enough," Kalen said. "Tastes like algae and regret." "That is the optimal blend for tissue regeneration," one of the smaller aliens said. Its skin was a blotchy violet, and it held a narrow instrument that blinked every few seconds. "Yeah, well, I heal better with bacon." He winced as he adjusted his position. "And maybe an ice pack." "We are unfamiliar with bacon," the tall one said. "But we've reviewed your dietary logs. Your species processes lipids with remarkable efficiency, albeit recklessly." "Sounds about right." The violet alien stepped closer and passed the blinking instrument over his shoulder. It made a low buzzing noise, and something inside it clicked twice. "Ligament fibers are reknitting. Cartilage remains inflamed. You will experience mobility restriction for at least 5 of your local days." "Good to know," Kalen muttered. "And the ribs?" "Structural cracks are minor. Full calcification forecast within 3 days. Guess I've had worse." Daisy let out a low whine and nudged his hand with her nose. He rubbed behind her ears absently, and her tail gave a lazy thumb. "She detects discomfort," the tall alien observed. "Is this standard behavior?" "She's not a scanner," Kalen said. "She just knows. It's part of what makes her special." The violet one adjusted its grip on the instrument. "We would like to test her neural response to your injury." "What does that mean?" "We will simulate increased pain levels and observe her behavioral adaptation." "Nope," Kalen said flatly. "Not a chance. We will not inflict actual harm. You're not simulating anything. She's not a lab rat. You want data? Watch her when I get up and walk with this busted shoulder." The tall alien exchanged glances with the others. "We will consider your request. In the meantime, we have a secondary inquiry." "Of course you do." The third alien, who had remained silent until now, stepped forward and extended a flat data panel. On it was a grainy image, several humans in a line, each with a dog of varying size and breed. The setting looked like a park with a row of trees behind the group. "This was recovered from your damaged vessel's memory module. Explain the purpose of this gathering." Kalen blinked. "That's a dog show. People bring their dogs to compete in obedience, agility, that kind of thing. They are evaluated for physical symmetry and coordinated performance. Yeah, and grooming. Some folks spend months getting their dogs ready." The violet alien leaned closer to the image. "You make them compete for aesthetic and behavioral excellence? It's not as weird as it sounds." "It is extremely weird," the tall one said. "Fair enough." Daisy stretched and stood up, gently placing her front paws on the edge of the cot. Kalen winced as the bed shifted slightly, but he reached for her anyway. "She does not distinguish between your states of pain or ease," the third alien noted. "She does. She just doesn't care. She wants to be close, even if it hurts." There was a pause. None of them spoke for several seconds. Then the tall alien reached into a compartment on its side and retrieved a small, soft object, blue, round, and covered in tiny protrusions. "This is a tactile stimulant. We wish to observe her interaction with it." "Sure," Kalen said. "Go ahead." The alien tossed it gently onto the floor. Daisy stepped forward, sniffed it once, then picked it up in her mouth. She turned to Kalen, tail wagging, and trotted back to him, dropping the object at his feet. The 3 aliens moved closer, devices raised. "She returned it," the violet one said. "She wants me to throw it," Kalen said. "It's a game. You use object retrieval as play stimulus?" "Yeah. She loves it." The tall alien slowly bent down, picked up the object, and held it aloft. Daisy's eyes locked onto it instantly, body rigid with anticipation. The alien threw it farther this time, toward the wall. Daisy bolted after it, skidding slightly as she made the turn. She caught the object mid-bounce and trotted back proudly. She prioritizes completion of the task over personal gain, the third alien said. She just likes playing. It makes her happy. Does she require reward? A good girl usually does the trick. Kalen patted his leg and Daisy jumped up, tail sweeping wildly. He scratched behind her ears and murmured praise. She licked his face once and settled back beside him. The alien stood in silence again. The violet one finally turned to the others. We must observe long-term effects of non-transactional bonding. It defies standard motivational models. The tall alien nodded. We will initiate a new phase. Environmental shift. Kalen frowned. What's that mean? We are moving you and the canine to a variance habitat. More stimuli. Wider range of conditions. When? Now. The walls of the infirmary began to shimmer. Within seconds, they collapsed inward and reconfigured themselves. The sterile surfaces transformed into rough stone, interspersed with patches of moss. A faint breeze stirred the air, and the ceiling opened to reveal a simulated sky cloudy, with distant thunder. Daisy's ears twitched. She sniffed the air and glanced at the changing terrain. You could warn a guy before redecorating, Kalen muttered, shifting his legs off the cot. He stood slowly, bracing against the frame. His shoulder flared in protest and his ribs tightened, but he stayed upright. Daisy stayed close, her eyes scanning the pseudo-forest around them. She's alert, the violet alien noted. New surroundings increase vigilance. Yeah, she's watching my back. A section of the ground ahead shifted, revealing an incline of loose gravel and gnarled roots. Without waiting, Daisy advanced, sniffing along the trail. Kalen followed, each step sending a jolt through his side. She adjusts her pace to yours, the third alien said. She always does that. They continued for several minutes. The simulated environment grew denser, trees arching overhead, uneven ground, and distant animal calls that sounded just artificial enough to be suspicious. Kalen stumbled once but caught himself on a nearby boulder. Daisy circled back immediately, pressed her body against his leg, and waited. She modifies her route based on your mobility, the tall alien said. She's not just reacting, Kalen said. She's thinking. They reached a clearing, where a structure stood, an open shelter with a low roof and a small pool of water beside it. This is your resting zone, the violet alien said. We will observe overnight behavior. Kalen sat slowly on the edge of the shelter. Daisy lay at his feet, chin on her paws, watching the tree lean. Do you ever sleep? He asked. We rotate rest cycles. Observation will continue uninterrupted. He exhaled slowly and leaned back against the shelter wall. Daisy shifted closer, her side pressed against his foot. She's not just a pet, Kalen said. She's part of me. You can't map that with scans and simulations. The tall alien didn't reply immediately. Then it turned and began typing on a wrist-mounted console. Perhaps not. But we are beginning to suspect that your species has achieved something rare. What's that? Selective empathy. Engineered loyalty. A bond not based on need, but choice. Kalen glanced down at Daisy, who was dozing lightly, ears twitching. I didn't engineer anything, he said. We just found each other. The aliens stepped back, disappearing into the trees. Night fell in the simulation. The stars above flickered just slightly off sync, like they hadn't fully figured out how constellations were supposed to work. But it was peaceful. Kalen shifted, wincing as his ribs protested again. Daisy stirred, then rested her head on his lap. He closed his eyes. The simulated wind picked up. Kalen woke slowly, the stiffness in his ribs sharper than the night before. The shelter's smooth stone had gone cold beneath him, and a faint mist hung in the simulated forest's early light. Daisy was already up, tail swishing softly as she sniffed the edge of the clearing. Her breath came out in visible puffs, and Kalen realized the temperature had dropped significantly. He pulled his legs in and sat up with a groan. Movement tugged at the wrap along his side, and a deep ache bloomed down his chest. "Morning," he muttered, running a hand through his hair. "Or whatever you people call it." A gentle chime echoed overhead, and the trees rustled in response. From the far edge of the clearing, 3 aliens emerged, their gait unhurried, each carrying a different device. The tall one with the node collar stopped first, lowering a rectangular case to the ground. "Your musculoskeletal recovery has progressed. We have new assessments prepared. Let me guess, more obstacle courses? Maybe simulate a hailstorm this time." Kalen stood slowly, each movement deliberate, keeping pressure off his side. "No further environmental stressors," said the one with violet-tinted skin, now holding a palm-sized disc. "We are transitioning to behavioral threshold analysis." "Sounds cozy." The third alien, smaller than the others and bearing a ridged stripe down its neck, stepped forward holding something that resembled a harness. It knelt and extended the device toward Daisy. "We wish to monitor the canine's autonomic responses in real time." "She's not gonna like that," Kalen warned. Daisy sniffed the harness suspiciously, ears low. The alien pressed a button, the material softened and reshaped to fit the curve of her spine. It made a soft humming sound, and Daisy let out a low huff. "She may attempt removal," the alien said. "We have anticipated this." "Yeah, she's not big on fashion statements." Despite her discomfort, Daisy didn't resist. She padded to Kalen's side and sat, eyes flicking between the aliens. The tall one gestured toward the center of the clearing. "Please proceed to the marked zone." Kalen stepped forward. For white posts rose slowly from the ground, forming a square about 10 feet across. As he and Daisy entered, the air shimmered faintly, the simulation's barrier adjusting. "What now?" he asked. "We will introduce a non-sapient decoy organism," the violet alien explained. "Its movements will be erratic. We wish to observe the canine's instincts." "You're testing if she'll chase it?" "Yes. Or if she will protect you from it." A soft click sounded, and from the far tree-line, a quadruped emerged. It looked vaguely like a gazelle, though its legs were jointed in odd places and it had no visible eyes. It moved with an unsettling bounce, pausing every few feet to twitch its head in unnatural half-circles. Daisy stood immediately, body tense. Her ears lifted, but she stayed beside Kalen, one paw forward. "It's not real," he said softly. "You're okay." The creature bolted forward, jerking erratically. Daisy flinched but didn't chase. She stepped in front of Kalen, watching the thing circle. "She's not attacking," murmured the striped alien. "Not even pursuing. She's not a hunter. She's a helper." The decoy dashed toward them suddenly, stopping just short of the perimeter. Daisy barked once, low and sharp. Kalen didn't move. Neither did she. The creature reversed direction and vanished into the trees. The barrier shimmered again and the white posts sank into the ground. "She responded only with vocal deterrence," said the violet alien. "Minimal movement. No engagement." "Exactly," Kalen said. "She's smart enough to know what's real danger and what's just strange." The tall alien tilted its head. "We have completed all behavioral metrics." "Great. So, am I done being your crash test dummy?" "We require one final confirmation," said the striped alien, "regarding your earlier statement." "What statement?" "That the canine's presence provides medical benefit." Kalen blinked. "You want to test that?" "Yes. We will quantify recovery rates under variable proximity." "That's not how people work. You don't just unplug a relationship and measure it with a stopwatch. We will isolate you for 12 hours. Then reunite and compare biological indicators." "No," Kalen stepped back. "We've been through enough. You've got your data." The tall alien glanced at the others. "We have not yet completed the protocol. You've seen how she responds to me. You've seen how I heal. You don't need to watch her panic while I sit in another room pretending not to care. Your resistance is noted. I'm not resisting. I'm refusing. There's a difference." Daisy nudged his leg gently, sensing the shift in his tone. The aliens paused. Then the tall one reached for a small sphere on its belt, held it up, and activated a projection. A translucent screen appeared, displaying two side-by-side charts. One represented Kalen's vitals from the first 48 hours post-injury. The other showed the latest readouts: lower inflammation, improved circulation, more stable oxygen levels. Our data indicates accelerated recovery consistent with emotional stabilization, said the violet alien. We accept your position. Kalen exhaled. Took you long enough? The striped one stepped forward and removed the harness from Daisy's back. She shook once, relieved, and sat back down beside Kalen. Your vessel's salvage is complete, the tall alien said. We have transferred you to a diplomatic vessel returning to human territory. Departure is scheduled in 7 hours. Kalen blinked. Wait, you're letting us go? The experiment has concluded. You have provided comprehensive data. Further observation is unnecessary. He crouched and scratched Daisy's head. Then I guess this is goodbye. The violet alien seemed to hesitate. Before departure, we request a final demonstration. Of what? The canine's capacity for unprompted interaction. You are not to speak or signal. Kalen raised an eyebrow but said nothing. He sat cross-legged on the ground, arms folded. Daisy looked at him, ears up. She waited. Then, after a moment, she walked over, placed her head in his lap, and sighed. None of the aliens spoke. After a minute, the tall one stepped back. That is sufficient. 6 hours later, Kalen stood at the edge of the embarkation platform. The air shimmered with faint particles as the shuttle powered up. Daisy sat beside him, eyes scanning the unfamiliar hangar. The tall alien approached one last time, holding a small data cube. This contains all footage and biological readings gathered during your stay. We believe it may aid your species' understanding of interspecies empathy. What are you hoping we'll do with it? Perhaps you will apply it. Perhaps you will ignore it. But it has changed our models. Kalen took the cube and pocketed it. Good luck explaining to your superiors that humans bring wolves into their homes and teach them to nap on couches. The alien's eyes blinked sideways. Your species is deeply irrational and unexpectedly effective. The shuttle door opened. Kalen guided Daisy up the ramp, feeling the shift in pressure as the cabin sealed behind them. The platform lowered out of view and the stars tilted into alignment through the forward viewport. Daisy curled up beside him on the padded bench. You did good, girl, he whispered. She looked up, tail thumping once against the floor. The engines hummed. No more tests. No more monitoring. Just a man and his dog heading home.